research. One of the things that has been really interesting to me is social BI, and because of a lack of time this year, we weren't able to pursue it. But one of the things that we really want to do is put together a project that provides a clear definition of social BI, what disparities exist within the market, the features companies need, and how they can create a social BI environment, as well as look at adoption patterns, best practices, and provide recommendations. So why this is becoming more important is because of the fact that social media is becoming much more muddled in terms of what terms are and how organizations can get where they want. So many vendors are starting to provide Facebook access to Facebook analytics, Twitter analytics, and the like. But the landscape is changing in terms of, one, the way people interact with data, the complexity of analytics and data access. Not only are people looking at, obviously, the traditional forms of data, but text analytics, because of the increase in streams of text-based data, whether it's through Twitter, whether it's through online reviews of products or the like, is just really changing the way in which organizations are able to collect and analyze their information. And then not only is it the data itself, but it's also how people are interacting with social media within their organizations, whether that means their use of these systems or their management of it, or even their expectations of how solutions will be used going forward and how they can access these solutions moving forward.
So,
yes.
Lindsay, this is Ritu. Quick question for you. Do you have any data which tells you, not how many of them are using social media, but how many of them are actually processing customer feedback from social media and using that for marketing purposes?
So that's actually one of the areas that we wanted to tackle, and that was going to be my main in terms of survey that was sent out next year.
Okay,
so that's like the goal for next year, right, in terms of just being able to identify what people are doing and how they're leveraging it, and if they're leveraging it.
Yes, exactly. The leveraging part is what is interesting, not, because everybody is on social media today.
Right.
It's just, it's a question of how many of them are actually using that data to do something about it. And if they are, then it would be good to identify which are the top channels that they are leveraging, and if they differ by industry.
Right.
So that those two factors would be interesting to put in the survey if you go and do this research.
No, definitely.
That's it. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but thought you were on the slide, so I just wanted to make a comment about it.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So in terms of expanding on that, is the three kind of converging efforts of social media and BI that will kind of be covered in the report is the concept of social network analysis, and the idea surrounding, a lot of times from use cases, it's been used a lot in telecommunications or even Facebook, et cetera, to identify, what social networks, who's influencing what, and look at those types of relationships. But also what I'm finding is that a lot of organizations don't necessarily understand what options are out there. Yes, there are some that are looking at, what their customers are doing, but they don't really understand how to leverage that to identify who is influencing different buying habits or different patterns, or even potentially to offset or deal with potential negative offsets of, somebody who is saying negative comments or influencing their friends in a negative way. And then obviously the social media analytics is what a lot of people are talking about, whether it's trying to identify Facebook likes or interactivity and integrate that with page views and buying habits, et cetera. And then the third aspect is more of that social and collaborative BI, which brings social media and BI together. But what I'm seeing is that these three areas, although separate, they overlap, and a lot of companies that are looking for social media analytics tools or social network analysis don't necessarily understand what's out there or how other people are leveraging the technology. So that's also another area in terms of helping people understand how technology can be leveraged to kind of help push adoption, because obviously, as you said, Ritu, everybody is using social media to some level, but it's using how do they begin to use analytics to bring it to the next level. So that's just in terms of one of the key areas that we'll be looking at next year. And then the final thing is the product directory comparison, which will be launched next year. And what we wanted to do is really provide a buyer's guide for business users who are looking for solutions. So obviously this is what it looks like right now, and we're still populating the data. And then based on the Excel spreadsheet that we sent out, we'll be populating this data so that organizations can go in and identify if they want dashboards, who offers what are they looking for, and over time, obviously, we'll build up something more robust and based on what organizations are looking for. But really what our goal is to help organizations gain a deeper understanding of what's available in the marketplace, because of the fact that a lot of companies will essentially select their solution or shortlist based on branding, which is great because a lot of companies can do many things, but it doesn't necessarily get into the nitty gritty. And a lot of times what happens is either I've been asked or vendors are asked to, develop a POC or do something for a project that really has nothing to do with them or doesn't necessarily bring out their differentiators to the best of their ability. So hopefully SMBs will be able to gain more of a view of, what products do what and how that fits within their specification. In addition, it's going to be a great way for vendors to showcase their product differentiations. So overall, those are the three key areas that we're focusing on for next year. In addition, as many of you might know, I've had an online community or forum for the past several months. And next year, what we'll be doing is actually revamping the WiseAnalytics website yet again to kind of create more of an integrated approach so that it'll look more like a focus.com or some other site, so that it's more interactive in terms of the events that go on through WiseAnalytics based on our 2013 initiatives, as well as create more of a community to develop discussions surrounding our different initiatives. As well, we'll be developing services more targeted towards organizations, because what I've been finding is any consulting engagement that I become a part of, it ends up, it's almost like the same thing over and over, which is great because you start to see simple issues come forth, or not necessarily simple issues, but similar types of issues. And then from there, it ends up that, it would be nice to package something so that, one, we're not recreating the wheel each time, but also that it provides more value to SMBs so that they can learn from what other people have been doing. And then finally, which nobody on the call is necessarily open source, but the Using Open Source Platforms for Business Intelligence book is coming out at the end of September. So if anybody wants to know more about that, let me know. In addition, I think most of you have been in touch, or Neil has been in touch with most of you, but I just wanted to give the general contact information, as he'll be taking this one step further. And then as we currently, in terms of community management, Gail has been managing a lot of the administrative side, but as we move forward with these initiatives next year, she'll be more involved in developing social content and initiatives on that front. So I really, even though I booked an hour, I just wanted to leave enough time for questions, but as it stands now, that is it from my end in terms of what we are doing for the coming year. Did anybody have any questions?
Lindsay, this is Ritu again. Can you go back to your big data slide?
Yes.
So when you do this, one thing that I would be very interested in finding out is how many SMBs are actually using Hadoop right now for data storage, data processing purposes, and what are the primary tools they're using. Are they
Right.
using like Hive, or are they using R, or are they using actual, some paid analytics? So that is one thing that I wanted to find out. The second thing I would like to it would be interesting to find out is how many of them are actually interested in in-memory analytics and have the hardware to support in-memory analytics.
Right.
So, because those are the things that I'm hearing a lot. I get a lot of RFIs which require input, and they basically would have people saying, "Oh, do you offer in-memory analytics?" Yes, we do offer in-memory analytics, but do you have the hardware that is required? So those are the kind of things that would be very interesting to find out in the implications of big data. I mean, I think the hesitation about big data in terms of, it's not for us, that has gone away from SMB market. What I want to understand is really what they're doing about it in terms of, are they just storing it at this point? If they're processing it, what they're using to process it, and which areas they are storing and processing it most in, and the desire to move to more robust hardware and therefore get more robust solutions to process it.
Right.
And this would be, again, great if it can be cut across industries so that we know that, maybe small pharma is more interested in it, and financial services is more interested in it, retail is not so much, that kind of a thing.
Right.
So, but the agenda looks good.
Well, your feedback is great, so thank you very much. I'm taking a lot of notes. Were there any other questions?
That was great, Lindsay. That was a really nice overview, and I will report back to Noetics with everything you said.
Perfect.